Hello students, this is Madhusmita. I welcome you to my YouTube channel. In the last class, I have discussed about the monochromatic aberration and the types of monochromatic aberration and the causes of monochromatic aberration. And also we have discussed about the spherical aberration. What is spherical aberration, how it causes, and we have discussed the ray diagrams of the spherical aberration for both if an object is at infinity and if an object is at a point or at a finite distance. So today I am going to discuss about the spherical aberration calculations. How to find out the spherical aberration in a lens. So today's heading is spherical aberration due to spherical surface. Now to find out the spherical aberration in a spherical surface, let us consider a spherical surface of radius of curvature r. Consider a spherical of radius of curvature capital R, and let a parallel ray of light incident on the point P of the spherical surface at a height h from the axis. Now first let me draw the figure. So this is the spherical surface, suppose. Let's say this is A, B, and this point is O. A ray is passing parallel to the principal axis and striking at a point P on the spherical refracting surface. So let's say this point is P, and this ray is at a height of h from the axis. Now the refracted ray meet the principal axis at a point fh after refraction through the lens. So let's say this is the FP focus point for the ray. Now drop a perpendicular at point P let's say this is my angle I. So if this is angle I, then this will be my angle R. Now join this normal to the axis. Let's say this is my C, center of curvature. From O to C, this is my capital R. So this is same for this distance also. Now this is angle R. If I extend this line, then I can say that this complete angle this complete angle is my angle I. Opposite vertical angle. So this is complete angle I. Then this angle will be how much? You can say that this is complete I and this is R. So then this angle will be I minus R. If this is I minus R, then we can say that this is also I minus R. This is corresponding angle. So this becomes I minus R. Again I am telling you, this total angle is from here to here, it is I. This is R. Then you can say that this angle is I minus R. So if this is I minus R, you can say this angle is I minus R due to the corresponding angle. As we know, the corresponding angles are equal. Alternating corresponding angles are equal. Now let f small fh be the focal length for the focus fh. So this is what a figure we are going to consider for the calculation of your spherical aberration in a lens. Now from the figure, let's say this is my figure 1. OFH is equals to your R, that is OC plus CFH. You can say that OC plus CFH. If you put the value, so OFH is equals to, in place of OC you can write R, because OC value is R. So R plus, you don't know CFH value, so let it be as it is. Let's say this is equation 1. So I got OFH is equals to OC plus CFH. That is nothing but OFH is equals to, in place of OC you can put the value of OC, that is R, plus CFH. We don't know the value of this, so let it be as it is. Let's say this is my equation 1. Now from the triangle, consider triangle CPFH. Consider triangle CPFH. So in triangle CPFH, we can write here that sin R is equals to CFH by PFH, and again sin I minus R is equals to R by PFH. As you can see here, in this triangle, sin R is equals to CFH by PFH. Now both values you don't know, so it is as it is. And again sin I minus R is equals to this, that is PC. There is nothing but R. So R divided by PFH. So give this as equation 2, and this is equation 3. When you are equating these two equations, you will get here, or you can say some simplified form also you can do. You just take this to this side and this to this side. So you will get here PFH is equals to CFH by sin R, and again here also you can eliminate PFH. So PFH is equals to R by sin I minus R. So in both the equations, if you are considering and equating, you will get here equating above equation. So let's say this is my equation 2 and this is my equation 3. So above equations we get, if we equate it, you will get here CFH by sine R is equals to R divided by sine I minus R. So from this we are going to get CFH value. So to calculate this CFH value, we have considered this triangle and we found out CFH value. So you will get here CFH as R sin R divided by sine I minus R. So let's say this is my equation 4. Now putting this equation 4 in equation 1, we can calculate OFH, that is a focal length of the spherical lens for the particular ray. So as we know that OFH, that is nothing but, you can say that this is FH, this is the focal length for the HH zone, is equals to R plus CFH. Now I am going to put the CFH value. So CFH value was, that is R sin R divided by sine I minus R. Now substitute this value here. So you will get here OFH, or that is equals to FH, is equals to R plus R sin R divided by sine I minus R. So FH is equals to, take R common, so we will get here 1 plus sin R divided by sine I minus R. So now I am going to put the formula of sine A minus B over here. So you will get here FH is equals to R 1 plus sine R divided by, now the formula of sine A minus B is sine A into cos B minus cos A into sine B. So just put that formula over here. So you get here sine I into cos R minus cos I into sine R. So this implies FH is equals to, now I am just dividing a term, that is sine R, in this term. In this term I am going to divide sine R in both numerator and denominator. So here R into 1 plus sin R divided by sin R whole divided by sin I cos R minus cos I sin R divided by sin R. So when you simplify this, you will get here FH is equals to R into 1 plus, if you solve this you will get 1 by, now divide individually with the terms. So sin R divided by sin I into cos R gives you here mu cos R minus, in this case sin R get cancelled, so you will get here only cos I. Now the reason is, you know that sin I by sin R is equals to the refractive index of the lens from the Snell's law. So mu, therefore mu is nothing but sin I by sin R. Since mu equals to sin I by sin R, you got such term. So finally you got a term, that is FH is equals to R into 1 plus 1 by mu cos R minus cos I. So let's say this is my equation 5. Now here I have considered the rays to be a marginal rays. Now if you are considering a paraxial rays, that means you can consider this to be an axial zone. In this case, your H tends to 0. So for paraxial rays, that is in axial zone, H tends to 0. If H tends to 0, then we can say that angle I and angle R is equals to 0. Because in the figure you can see here, if this line is on this line, this is the principal axis, on this line, then the height tends to 0 and this angle I and R is obviously equals to 0. So putting these conditions in the above equation, you will get here Fp, as we are going for the axial zone or a paraxial rays. That's why I am denoting this to be Fp is equals to R into 1 plus 1 by mu. Now cos R and cos I value becomes here 1 because R and I are 0. So here you will get here 1, so you will get only mu minus cos I value is 1. So you got a term like this. So take the LCM over here. So R, here LCM mu minus 1. So if you take here, you will get here, this is get cancelled. So R, you can say R mu by mu minus 1. This is my Fp. Let's say this is equation 6. Now I am going to find out the measure of or the amount of spherical aberration in the lens. So how to find out this? This is very simple. We know that the difference between the focal length for the paraxial rays and the marginal ray gives you the aberration, amount of aberration. So in this case I have calculated FH, that is for the marginal rays, it is we are considered here as the H zone, and the paraxial rays we are considering this to be a axial zone. So you got two focal lengths over here. Subtract these two focal lengths, then you will get the spherical aberration. So let's do that. So the change in focal length. So here the change in focal length gives you the measure of spherical aberration. Now as we are considering this on the principal axis, so that's why this aberration can be defined as longitudinal spherical aberration. So the change in focal length del f h is equals to, because you had some height h, then you had a height 0, so the change in focal length will be h minus 0. So that's why I have denoted here del fh is equals to fp, because as we know that the focal length for the paraxial rays is more than the focal length for the marginal rays. So fp minus fh is equals to, you have these two values, substitute these two values in this equation. So you have here mu r by mu minus 1 minus fh. You had fh here, that is r into 1 plus 1 by mu cos r minus cos I. Put this value here. So you had r into 1 plus 1 by mu cos r minus cos I. So these two values are substituted over here. Now we are going to solve these two terms. So this equals to, now take r common throughout. So here del fh is equals to r. If you take r common throughout, so here you will get mu by mu minus 1 minus, here I will get 1. This minus sign is multiplied over here, so minus 1 by mu cos r minus cos I. Now just take solve these two terms. So you will get here r into mu minus 1 is the LCM over here. So you will get here mu minus mu plus 1. Okay, so minus 1 by mu cos r minus cos I. This equals to r you can cancel these two terms. So here you get the term as 1 by mu minus 1 minus 1 by mu cos r into, minus sin I, cos I. 1 by mu cos r minus cos I. So this equals to, you can give this as a equation number. So we had equation 6, so let's say this is my equation 7. So this equation 7 represents the longitudinal spherical aberration. This is how we can find out the longitudinal spherical aberration in a spherical refracting surface. Now we are going to calculate the approximate value of this longitudinal spherical aberration. So let us find out the approximate value. So how can we calculate this value? Now you have to find out the value of cos r, then you have to find out the value of cos I. Substitute those values in equation that is equation 7. Then we will solve it and we'll get the approximate value for del fh. So let's see how to calculate this cos r and cos I. Now for the calculation of this cos r and cos I, I am going to consider the triangle. Look at the figure, that is the triangle OCP. I am going to consider the triangle OCP, and in this triangle sin I, that means this angle is I, this angle is I over here, because this is I means this is also I. You can say this is also I, alternative angle. So for sin I, the value will be OP, because this is the angle means the front of it is the perpendicular, and this is my base and this is my hypotenuse. So your sin I is equals to OP by OC. Now OP value is your H, this is my OP value, and OC value is R. So from this you got sin I. From this sin I value you can calculate cos I by taking the formula that is sin cos I equals to root over of 1 minus sin square I. So again in the similar way we can calculate sin R and then cos R. So let's do that. So I'm going to consider in triangle OCP as I have shown in the figure, your sin I is equals to OP by OC. Just discussed in the figure. So this equals to OP value was your H and OC value was your R. So let's say this is my equation 8. Now from this you can calculate cos I. So cos I can be represented as 1 minus sin square I. Now you have I value, sin I value, substitute here, you can find out the cos I value. So 1 minus root over of 1 minus h square by r square. Now this can be written as 1 minus h square by r square whole to the power half. Now by using binomial expansion, we had a binomial expansion as a binomial theorem you can say. Using the binomial theorem, that is if you have 1 plus minus x to the power n, then that is equal to 1 plus minus nx, neglecting the higher terms of x. So here is the same thing. I am putting this value in this equation. So you will get here cos I is equals to 1 minus this half value will be multiplied over here. So you will get here h square by 2 r square, and the other higher terms are being neglected over here. So you got this. So let's say this is my equation 9. So cos I value is calculated over here. Now let's calculate the cos R value. Now from Snell's law, we know that the refractive index of the lens is given by sin I by sin R. So mu is equals to sin I by sin R. So this implies from this the sin R can be eliminated. So sin R is equals to sin I by mu. And again this sin I value you know it, that is we have calculated just now, that is sin I is equals to h by r. Just substitute this value. So h by mu r. So your sin r value is h by mu r. So similarly you can calculate, therefore cos r value is equals to root over of 1 minus sin square r. So just substitute the value over here. So 1 minus sin r is h by mu r. So put these values, so you will get here h square by mu square r square whole to the power half. So or you can say, by using the binomial theorem, we can express this as cos r is equals to 1 minus h square by 2 mu square r square. So this is the value of cos r. Let's say this is equation 11. Now by using these two equations, that is equation 10 and equation 9, you can say here equation, this is equation 9 and equation 10, equation 11. So this is equation 11, cos r equals to 1 minus h square by 2 mu square r square. So you got cos I value as well as you got cos r value. Now we are taking the term that was in equation 7. You can see equation 7. There was a term that is mu cos r minus cos I. Now I'm just considering this term, and in this term I'm going to substitute this cos r and cos I value. So we have that is mu cos r. You can write here in the term mu cos r minus cos I is equals to, just substitute these values of cos r and cos I as we have found now. So we get here mu, in place of cos I going to put this value, that is 1 minus h square by 2 mu square r square, minus, in place of cos I you can substitute this value, that is 1 minus h square by 2 r square. I am going to solve this one. That is, we just multiply this mu in this term, so you get here mu minus, here one mu get cancelled, so h square by 2 mu r square minus 1 minus plus h square by 2 r square. And if you are going to take the LCM, then you will get here for the LCM you can take 2 mu r square. So here you will write 2 mu square r square minus h square minus 2 mu r square, then plus mu h square. So you have to consider the terms in such a way that you will get a common term, that is mu minus 1. So which term we are going to consider? Let's see. So that is your 2 mu square r square. I am considering this term. Then next minus 2 mu r square. Then next this is plus mu h square. Then minus h square whole divided by 2 mu r square. So this equals to, you can take common here, that is 2 mu r square. So in bracket we will get mu minus 1. Again here you can take common h square, so within the bracket you will get mu minus 1 whole divided by 2 mu r square. So you got such term. Now from this mu minus 1 can be taken common. So here again we will have mu minus 1 common. So 2 mu r square plus h square whole divided by 2 mu r square. So we can write this as, that is, we can write the left hand side of this equation, that is mu cos r minus cos I is equals to mu minus 1 into 2 mu r square plus h square whole divided by 2 mu r square. So this is the value of mu cos r minus cos I. Now putting this value in equation 7, we can solve the change in focal length. Now in equation 7 we have term as 1 by mu cos r minus cos I. So that equation can be written as 1 by mu cos r minus cos I is equals to, you can reverse this term. So you will get here 2 mu r square divided by mu minus 1 into 2 mu r square plus h square. So let's say this is my equation 12. Now substituting equation 12 in equation 7, we get, so your del fh is equals to r into 1 by mu minus 1 minus, you had this term here, so in place of this term we are going to replace this, so that is 2 mu r square by mu minus 1 into 2 mu r square plus h square. Now if you solve this one, you'll get r into, again you can take the LCM over here, so that is mu minus 1 into 2 mu r square plus h square. So when you're taking this LCM here, the first term you will get 2 mu r square plus h square, and the second term you will get 2 mu r square. So here these two terms get cancelled out, so you get only h square in the denominator, in the numerator. So this equals to r h square divided by mu minus 1 into 2 mu r square plus h square. So on the right hand side, left hand side, you have a term that is del fh. So let's say this is equation 13. So you got equation 13 as del fh is equals to r h square divided by mu minus 1 into 2 mu r square plus h square. Now we can take a case over here. The term that is mu r square may be much greater than h square, because the product of refractive index and the radius of curvature is obviously greater than your height of the ray passing through the lens, that is for the HH zone. So for this case, for this condition, this equation 13 can be written as, so del fh is equals to r h square divided by mu minus 1 into 2 mu r square. Here this h term is neglected, as this mu r square is much greater than h square. So you can mention here, since h square is neglected, in comparison to mu r square. So you got an equation that is del fh is equals to r h square divided by mu minus 1 2 mu r square. Here r term can be cancelled over here, so again del fh is equals to h square divided by mu minus 1, you can write here 2 mu r. So let's say this is my equation 14. Now I can replace this equation 14 in terms of FP, that is the focal length for paraxial rays, as we know that FP is equals to mu r divided by mu minus 1. This we obtained from equation 6. So this equation can be written in terms of FP also. Therefore, del fh is equals to h square divided by, I am just multiplying mu minus 1 term and dividing mu minus 1 term in the denominator. So 2 mu minus 1 into mu r into again mu minus 1 multiplied and divided. So you can write this as h square divided by 2. This term will be your mu square, mu minus 1 square. So 2 mu minus 1 square, and mu r divided by mu minus 1 gives you FP. So this is how your del FH can be denoted in terms of FP. So this is equation 15. So equation 15 represents the amount of or a measure of longitudinal spherical aberration due to the spherical surface. So this is equation 15 represents the amount of or measure of axial or longitudinal spherical aberration due to spherical surface. So this is how we calculated the amount of longitudinal spherical aberration by a simple derivation, and in the next coming class we will be switching to the next topic, that is the next part of your monogrammatic aberration. Now if you like my video, then share, like and comment. Thank you.